But I don't know if you saw or heard about the anglerfish that
The one that came almost all the way to the surface.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. Welcome to In the Gulch with TK Lips, where we follow the making of a song from slop to drop. Today, I sat down with Adelaide. In our conversation, we got deep into spirituality and the symbolism of a rare anglerfish sighting. But before we dove into that, we got to talk a little shop about the vulnerability of songwriting, working with other musicians, and how songs typically arrive to Adelaide completely formed in a shockingly short amount of time. We started with discussing their attic rehearsal space and the content they've been creating up there.
This is extremely serious.
Yeah, I know. So just get your giggles out now because there'll be no more giggling. You mentioned that you have the same lights in your attic space. So the space that you're in, you do a lot of videos now, or you're starting to do videos now, and those are really cool. Is that your attic?
Yeah, okay. So I have lived in this space for over 6 years. I've always had access to the attic space, but it's always been like mostly storage. So yeah, we just we put a drum kit up there and have been doing the full band stuff up there a lot, which is nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, the videos turned out really cool. So do you have downstairs neighbors?
Yeah, so my dear friend who owns the house lives downstairs.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
that's a better arrangement than like some stranger. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's why I live there. That's why I've lived there for that long, is because she's an incredible, amazing person who I love very dearly. And I'm like incessantly checking in with her about noise and stuff like that. And she was like, it's fine. It's good. I actually love it. Please continue. And I'm like, okay. Because it's not like we're like assholes. I'm turning 35 in less than a month. And like, I don't have the time or energy to be doing this at odd hours of the day. So, it's not like a crazy experience in that sense. And we're always like making sure the levels aren't out of control.
Okay, that's good. So it's not like 2 a.m. You have an idea for a drum beat.
100%.
And you're up there. Okay, yeah.
I think, lose my mind if I had to do that at 2 a.m. I'm grateful that like I'm a pretty like early person, but sometimes I get the late night like ideas and things like that. But usually, I know that that's like way more common for musicians is to be like night owls.
Yeah, that's how I am. I can't do anything creative until like 8 p.m. is the earliest.
Wow.
Usually, yeah. So this will be that's why we start at 7. So that way by 8 o'clock
We're ramping up.
Yeah, right.
I've been writing music for like 15 years now, and most of it is not released.
Yeah, that's honestly, it's kind of a theme for you and a couple other people that I've invited to be on the show. I'm a little familiar with music, and I was like, I'm going to do a deep dive before they come on the show, and it's always a little surprising because I know how much. I don't know all your songs, but I know you have a lot of material that I couldn't find, like on Spotify or wherever. So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. No, it's. Part of that process was when I kind of made the decision to move forward with music more seriously. I felt like I really needed to build a foundation where I was doing this by myself. And so I played by myself for years and thought a lot about maybe going to someone and having them like produce and do instrumentation for the music with me. But I just had this feeling that I was like, I kind of really want it to be a process that's shared with people who also care about this music and are adding to it in their own individual way.
Okay.
So it's kind of been like waiting to find the right people and get things in place. And I feel like that takes actually a very long time.
Yeah.
To get a consistent and solid group of people that like are in it for the right reasons and like want to do the same kind of things that you do. So it's been a process to get here, but now we're here. And yeah, I feel like a lot of things are going to happen this year. It
was like kind of before COVID, but I was like, I did kind of a similar thing where it's like, I don't know if I can rely on other people. I don't really know how I like working with other people. I need to like really figure out who I am as just a writer before I do that. And so that's kind of why like my project's named after myself. I imagine
exactly.
the same thing for you. Yeah.
No. And I also feel like there's something to it where if you've ever especially been in places or communities that, like, I feel like, especially being a femme person, I have been very belittled in different music circles, like just the weird ego that can come with toxic masculinity sometimes. And I think I also needed to prove to myself that people liked my music, like from what I was creating, and like build that confidence in myself. And I think sometimes when you have the ability to not hide behind bandmates, but like it's less vulnerable on some level, to like have the support of a bunch of other people up there with you making the same music as you.
Yeah. Music's really precious, right? When you're writing it and sort of like sharing that with somebody that you don't really want to share that with, that's not a great feeling.
Yeah. It's very vulnerable when it's good.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And I think not everyone can be trusted to deal with that delicately. I didn't really understand this about myself. So when I'm writing music, it's generally like 9 times out of 10, I'm feeling a big emotion or I'm really inspired by something. And then I sit down and 15 minutes later, there's a song.
Really?
Yes. And so much of that I've kind of learned about myself is that I'm kind of channeling something out of myself. And I think that's why I'm really grateful that like a lot of people resonate with a lot of the lyrics. Like I feel like it's kind of meant to tap into something that was greater than my experience, even though it feels really personal and it feels really specific in some ways. But like I had a lyric of one of my songs kind of like come into my head as I was falling asleep, you know, and a lot of people have that happen. And I love to say to people now with like the path I'm on, like, so where do you think that came from? So where do you think ideas come from? Where do you think inspiration comes from? These are the questions I love to ask.
That's good. Yeah.
But like, you know, just like how tarot can be a channel of like what someone needs to hear, I think music and creative expression, like many artists like are doing that as well. And it can be fully unconsciously or consciously, you know, like I just think when you are doing a creative thing, you're tapping into something that a lot of people aren't seeing either, right? So it inherently kind of has a mirror there.
That's really interesting because that is like a big, I try to figure out a way to like sort of creatively ask it for the show too, because it's like, where do your ideas come from is like people, especially for people who don't make art and, you know, they're just like, where, like, oh my God, where in the world? And a lot of times it's like, I don't really know. I feel like it's kind of the answer, right?
Yeah,
like, and it's
totally.
So I feel like part of the reason I want to ask that question is because I kind of like trying to get to it because I feel like I don't really understand it either. And your process is a lot different than mine because I've never written a song in that short amount of time.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. I'm very jealous. That's really cool.
But
yeah.
I feel like it has its own things, right? Like I know a lot of people who can write music and they work at it. And then so they're like constantly writing music. And I'm like, right. And I can't like and when I do collaborate, obviously things come through and then I'm working on it and that's more like intentionally doing it. But often for my own music, it's been very much just kind of whatever's coming through me at any given time.
Okay. Do you have to kind of wait for it? Like, so you don't sit down to write? You're like, you just like, oh, I feel I got to go right now, like this, that kind of thing. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And sometimes I can like push myself into that space, but it's almost like I need to be close to that level of it to get there. So it's like not something I can push. And when I was younger, I used to like judge myself a lot. I'd be like, you're not writing as much as you used to. But the thing that I've learned is that it literally always comes back. And then I'll be writing like nonstop for like a month straight or something. And then it will not happen again for a year or whatever. So it's very random, very different than a lot of people's process. And I have done music that has been more intentional and not like coming from somewhere deep inside me and that needed to come out in that moment. But yeah, that's pretty much most of it.
Okay. Listen, I mean, that's interesting because I mean, your lyrics too, they're very, I love your lyrics and I would have guessed that you spent more time on, I mean, I'm sure you like spend time with it after you like write it too, but because it's just, it's very conversational, which is, I feel like what we all really want to get at.
It's interesting because if I do make changes, it will be maybe minimal and it's rare.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm super jealous.
It's weird. And also, but I'm also jealous of the other. The other thing is more of a skill that I feel like I could grow. It's like a muscle, but I need to just sit my ADHD ass down to do it. It's tough.
I don't know if it gets better. So like when I write, it's usually like in sprints, and it's like kind of, there's an expression that inspiration finds you working.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that that's true.
Right.
Because I'm often like I'm like, I have, usually if I release a song, I've sat with the melody or the chord progression or something for like over a year usually. And it's like, this is good, but it's obviously not done. And I don't want to just shove something into it to make it work. And I'm just going to like wait, So I have like at any given time, I have like, 40, like when I say idea, I mean like tiny idea.
Totally,
you know what I mean? Not
but that's
like,
so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, like a guitar riff, or like a line.
Something to build off of. Yeah.
And I just said I have like notebooks and files, and just most of this basement is just to like store things that have my ideas in them.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I definitely, especially lyrically, like I mean, my notes app, it's classic. And I also pretty much have a notebook on me at all times for that too. But often it'll be like disparate things, and then it'll be like either something I'll pull from in a collaborative moment, or all of those disparate ideas will come together in like a force in a different way somehow.
From there, we dove deep into spirituality. We talked a lot about their past experiences, their connection to ancestors, and Adelaide's almost reluctant journey into mediumship. All of it started with a question about a necklace. What's the necklace?
So this is a Hathor amulet. Hathor is an Egyptian goddess, but she's a goddess of music and dance, and also motherhood, womanhood, and a lot of other things, as a lot of deities are. But I just like love a lot of what she represents, and especially I feel like when I'm connecting to music and when I'm connecting to dance, which I've danced for a lot of my life, that it's like I grew up Catholic, I should say.
Okay.
And that shit is fucked up on a bunch of different levels. And then I basically was like anti-theist for a lot of my 20s. And then I had a lot of experiences where I basically learned that I was a psychic medium, and have kind of been on this whole different type of journey since then. And so part of that was recognizing that I had a lot of support from things I didn't understand and didn't really know about until I like was able to tap into it even further and also do a lot of research. So I feel really connected to Hathor, and I just like, this is an amulet that's kind of dedicated to her.
Okay. That's not, I'll be honest, I've never heard of Hathor. So that's
totally. Yeah. A lot of people like don't like, I mean, obviously in the West, we're not really taught the Egyptian pantheon in the same way we're taught the Greek pantheon.
We know like Ra. Right. And that's kind of it.
Exactly.
I think, right?
Isis.
Yeah.
It's one of the divine feminines in that pantheon.
Oh, cool. Okay. I have a lot of follow-up questions.
Please. I know. I was like, I literally, as we were driving here, I'm like, he doesn't even know that I have traversed 1,000 lifetimes, I feel like, in this lifetime, I mean. So sometimes it's hard because there's a lot of that comes out in my creativity. So if I start straying or talking about too many things, like, please keep me on task.
No, not yet. I mean, it's early, so it could happen, right? So,
hell yeah.
So I like anti-theist. I don't really think I've heard that before, and I like that existing as sort of like a way to sort of distinguish what a sort of like agnostic atheist is and what like almost evangelical for atheism, sort of like. I
think because of Catholicism, I've ever since then be like, you never push anything you believe on anyone.
Okay. Yeah.
It was more like me personally, I'm very against it.
Okay.
Like against it. Is more how it felt to me.
Okay, yeah, it's good clarification, because that's so like it's just about like internally how am I going to interact with people or not interact with people about how I feel about spirituality or God or
totally.
Yeah.
For me, it was more, I think, a trauma response to Catholicism, but also just a way that at that time in my life, like I desperately needed to like feel the human experience and like appreciate all the things that are human, because when you grow up Catholic and you have that brainwashing, you're taught to hate all the human things about yourself, right? It's like very classic in the indoctrination. And so it felt really important to be like, no, I'm going to explore these things that are to be human. Meanwhile, like in actual spirituality, like that's all, that's like still what I'm doing now. It just has a different perspective.
Okay. I also have a complicated relationship with religion.
Totally.
I not as a child so much, so more as a young adult. Now I identify as like an agnostic atheist now. Just very passive. Like I'm open to the idea of there being more than, what's in the physical world. I don't have any particular beliefs about it right now.
Totally.
I'm kind of like in this like, I could see myself believing something someday, but right now I don't. And that's kind of like where I am right now.
My true perspective is that, so the way that I kind of talk about it now is like what people generally describe as God. Like I take the more like indigenous perspective of like source or creator, right? Like kind of this energy that surrounds all things, and where all things came from this perspective, right? But there's like the divine father, divine mother type thing, like, Mother Earth being part of this too. And also the original things in Christianity, like the Holy Trinity was not the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. It was the Father, the Mother, and the Holy Ghost. But then, men. So that was out the window. But I think like the thing that I just want to say is like anyone worth their weight in salt for people who like have this connection and have these gifts and have this path, because it is a path. And, so at first I resisted it, to be clear. Like I was like, what are we talking about here? But it isn't for everyone. And there is no judgment in any which way about it in terms of belief, right? The thing that I wish especially right-wing Christians would understand, that like all divine energy wants is like love energy, the true energy of love, like pure love. And it's like the opposite of like all of the hate and indoctrination that ends up coming out of those, structured religions. So I feel grateful now to have a very like healed understanding of it, as well as, I think it's going to continue to be something that is a big influence on everything I do.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And so the resistance is interesting. What's it like to sort of like begin to have a revelation of, because I don't have any kind of, that's not me. Like I don't have these kind of gifts.
Totally.
I don't feel, at least I'm not aware of it, and I haven't been made aware of it yet. But like, what's that revelation like? Like, how does it slow? Is it like something happens and it's like?
Well, I mean, not to get too in the weeds, but part of it for me is I had like 5 family members die in quick succession. And it was a bit of a crazy time in my life. And I consistently felt their presence, but I didn't really understand it. And then I went to see a psychic medium for the first time, and she basically was like, actually, I need to take you under my wing. You're now like my mentee. I'm being like guided that I have to do this and like take you on this journey. I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? And she was like, well, I like needed a lot of healing at that time. But also she just saw, and was able to read in me what I hadn't yet realized in myself. And also she was like, it's time. It's time for you to wake up, basically. So I think I had an inkling before that experience. And I just kind of like, I think part of it was like, growing up Catholic for me is very much like part of the resistance was like, I still had the Catholic guilt of like, oh, don't look at that. That would be a thing that would send me to hell. Doesn't exist, not a thing. But like the other part of it was like, I've just spent my whole 20s being like, no, no, absolutely not. And I'm like, okay, this is wild, but it also, I think it all happened at the timing of it happening because of all of the things that were going on in my life and, also everything that was going on in the world. It was early COVID. And yeah, been a journey ever since.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So like with regards with where you are now, do you feel like you're still developing or you've like got kind of arrived like or is it like a lifelong kind of thing?
I think it's probably a lifelong thing.
Okay.
So I was an educator for a very long time, and I think the best educators also know that the more you learn, the more you are learning. Mm-hmm. And also that when you're teaching, you're learning as much as teaching. So it's kind of like that. It's like, except maybe I'm the class and the unseen is the teacher, and sometimes that shifts, and sometimes I'm talking to people and like it triggers something in them. So it's all unfolding, but it's definitely more something I'm connected to than I ever have been before. It's so funny because I like have always been interested in astrology, and I had started doing astrology readings for people, and that was like a different avenue, but I felt like, I've always been like an astronomy nerd also, and I'm like, this makes sense to me, like tides, bodies, all of it, like I get it. And I'm also autistic, so the pattern recognition of like understanding like charts and stuff like that came really easy to me. And I started helping people in that way, and then just kind of started doing tarot before I really had that interaction with the psychic. And she, like every single time I did tarot for myself or anyone, it was like so eerily spot on that I was just like, that's crazy though. It's a coincidence. It's like, can't be anything real. And I don't know about this, but like, it's like, that's what the book says. It's like, how many times did I have to like have it shoved into my face before I was like, okay, all right, I'm listening.
Happy equinox, by the way.
Thank you. And happy start to Aries season.
Yeah, I'm an Aries.
Me too.
Yeah, I was also a teacher.
Oh my God,
yeah.
hell yeah.
What did you, Ned, you were in education. I'm going to come back to the other important stuff, but I'm just interested.
Please.
What was your role in education?
I did a bunch of different things. I was an environmental educator for a long time, so I like started a forest preschool in Ithaca and did a lot of things like that for a while. And then I also worked in elementary schools, doing like conflict resolution through play. It was a program called Playworks. They work with schools across the country. And then I also worked at the Massachusetts Avenue Project here in Buffalo, which is like an urban farm. And I ran their youth education program, which is teens, mostly resettled refugee youth. And basically, I mostly got to talk politics with them, but then they also would like work on our farm and stuff like that.
That's cool. That's really interesting. So you got like a great perspective that most people don't get talking to them. So that's really cool.
Absolutely. How about you?
I was an English teacher. Way more boring.
No, I mean, it's not more boring. I just like knew I like was really possibly going to do like that. But then it was like, I knew I like have a real hard time teaching to a test.
Yeah.
I knew that I couldn't play by the rules, and therefore I can't.
Yeah.
But it's really important. It's really important, obviously.
I was going to say, I think you did something way more impactful on the lives of the individuals that you were working with. And that's not, I mean, like, I'm really proud of the work I did as a teacher, but it was,
it's hard.
It's different, very different.
Yeah.
It's not what you sort of think it's going to be going to school to be a teacher.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Same thing with being a Christian.
Right. No, literally. It's like not as advertised.
Not at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's funny. I kind of dumped both things at the same time, actually.
Right.
Yeah. 2017.
Shedding.
Yeah, I left both things. It's been a growth ever since then.
Well, look at you.
Yeah.
And here's your life.
This is
beautiful world.
This is my classroom.
I love it. It's way cooler than any public school I've been in.
I think the question for all of us that aren't psychic mediums, the question we have is,
what is that?
What is it? And like, what can you intuit or see that the rest of us can't?
Yeah.
And how clear is the picture? And like, what's that like?
Great questions. Yeah. So everyone's abilities are very different, is what I will say to start. And Mine are not, I would say that mine are probably more typical than people realize, but it's again more subtle. So it's a harder one for people to realize they have. The psychic senses are called clairsenses, right? So people have heard of clairvoyance mostly, which is like visual. I have a dominance in claircognizance, which means I just know things. Like things will come into my mind and I'm like, I don't know why I know this, but I know this thing. I just know this thing. And like for most of my life, I would gaslight myself, right? I'd be like, no, you can't possibly know that thing. So like, it's fine. You got to trust what this person's saying to you instead of like the alarm bells going off in my head, right? Most of us are here with like the explicit mission of trying to help people, help people so that they have less suffering, so that they cause less suffering, and that this cycle of suffering that is presiding over a lot of the world right now can cease to exist. So that's kind of like the trajectory of most people. Again, there probably are people that's not the path, but that's like literally anyone I know and anyone I've ever known who has these gifts.
Okay. You know other people I know like you had the person who's your mentor, but you know other people as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, you kind of have to build communities for yourself because it's very isolating.
Dumb question. Can you tell? Like if you're in vicinity of somebody else, can you tell?
It's not a dumb question. And the thing is, I just try to not. And here's the other thing I will say. Every person has a pineal gland. So everyone is able to do this. Some people are more tuned into it than others. Some people will never access it in their life. Some people, it takes them years. Some people are born and they're like, I hear full sentences out loud from spirits. Like, you know what I mean? Like there is a range of things happening. And because of that, and because for most people it is undiscovered in them, it's again like, usually I can tell after I start talking to someone if they have that, only because it will inevitably come up very quickly.
Okay.
But not because of anything else.
Okay, yeah. So like, because I can imagine if I did have the gift and it was kind of a secret and you came out here and you're like, I have the same, you're describing something that I had, I would be very excited to share that with you. So that makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I meant to, I kind of lost the thoroughfare because I was like, actually, it's really important for me to say this. But so for me, it's claircognizance, so it's knowing, but it's also been growing over time. So like a lot of people with senses use things called divination tools, right? So that is what tarot is.
Okay.
Tarot is a way that like we can ask questions and like use that as a way of interpreting and understanding what is the message coming through. I mostly sense presence that aren't like spirits, that aren't like people that have passed on. I sense more like higher dimensional beings, like deities and things like that. So again, a lot of people who, and like I can generally sense if there's like, and can help clear spaces of spirits and help them move on, but I'm not like seeing them with my eyes. I can maybe feel them and like help in that situation, but it's usually, my communication usually is coming from elsewhere that I'm receiving.
I don't know how it works. I don't want to be like put you on the spot or anything. I'm just like, is there anything with, that's impacting you here? Like,
in this space?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. Usually you'll know if a space is pretty rough. I mean, I think all spaces need to be energetically cleansed because we're picking up energy from people all the time. You get flicked off by someone driving by you or whatever. Like I keep rosemary and Palo Santo in my bag. Like I'm like constantly just like, it's okay. We'll just like, just in case, why not? Plus it smells good. Why not? But yeah, no like things that are unsettled.
So the big reason I asked about this space is, so this house was my grandparents'.
Really?
Yeah. And I bought, so like when they, it was before, they're both passed now, but it was like one had passed and one was like in assisted care. And so we bought the house from the estate, So when I was here a lot when I was a kid, like a little kid, and my dad saw, like he has this weird story about like, he's like, I dropped you off to be babysat, and I as I was walking out the door, you were in your crib, and I saw this guy I never saw before next to your crib, and I closed the door, because it hadn't like processed yet. And then like I reopened the door and he was gone. And like it really freaked me out. And I didn't know. And then like, long story short, later on he found out that was my great grandpa, my mom's grandpa, who had passed and wasn't with us anymore at the time, and he like saw a photo.
In on you.
Yeah, so I'm like, and that's nothing like that's ever happened again in this house or with him or with my anybody in my family, and so I didn't know if you could tell if there's something still here, because I've always been kind of
the thing
hoping.
Is a lot of people have ancestors come check in on them, either around them kind of full time. People have some that stay with them, or like bounce in and out to like check in. So especially if you were like a baby, like the energy I'm kind of getting from the story is like your great grandfather was just like checking in on you.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. But he said he wasn't scared. It was like calm. It wasn't like he wasn't like panicked about it, and it was just like a very calm. Even though it was like this bizarre thing that happened, he was like at peace about it. So
it's very much like that often too.
Okay.
Like if it wasn't that experience, then there would probably be a different reaction, and there would be, I would also feel, and also, if you want after this, if you want me to check on your house, I'm happy to.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think about it, like, and I don't have a lot of ancestors that I think a lot about, but I never met my grandpa. I never met my great grandpa. But I think about him a lot because he is a part of like the West New York, like he worked at the Wurlitzer building on like the organs for the carousels and stuff.
That's awesome.
And so he has like this cool history with music.
Yeah,
and I never met him, and like he's not like a big celebrity in the West New York music scene, but he's like connected to it. So I think about him a lot.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I'm also pretty cut off from like knowing my ancestors just because my family didn't keep records. But it's funny because I feel connected to my great grandmother, and that's what my name Adelaide comes from, my great grandmother.
Oh, okay. Was that her first name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it was going to be my first name, and they literally were like, she said to my mom, like, don't do that because people will call her Addie. And I'm like, bitch, I love that.
Don't people call you Addie?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, like, I love that. Just don't project that shit onto me. Yeah. Great grandma. No, she was cool. I mean, she died when I was really young, but
what do you know about her? Anything?
Not much. But I just have always loved the name, and what I was going to say though is like I think even when we don't know our ancestors, sometimes they're still there, even if we've never known them in this lifetime. But for some people, it's like other close people that they've known, just connections that kind of span beyond like a single lifetime. But for a lot of people, it's people they knew or whatever.
We started poking at our conversation to see if there was any inspiration for a song. Along the way, we stumbled into a story about a fish that turned out to be an unlikely but perfect muse. I don't know which thread to pull.
There are many threads.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's totally up to you.
I wrote down, there's a lot of things to there was the connection to ancestors, about feeling connected to somebody that you've never met before. I thought that was a really interesting just idea, one that resonated with me too. There's a lot about spirituality that resonated with me too. I mean, even so, like there's a lot of differences, I think, but I think there's a lot more similarities than there are differences too.
Totally.
And I think the differences are just things that I don't understand fully or that are brand new to me today. So
totally.
Yeah. And I can't write a song about something I don't know about.
No, yeah. I mean, I think it's also just like allowing yourself to be, I think it is all kind of the same thing in the sense that like sometimes I feel like art and music is like allowing yourself to be inspired by things that maybe other people just like aren't noticing. I don't know if you so but I don't know if you saw or heard about the anglerfish that
came almost all the way to the surface.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I could not stop thinking about the anglerfish for like weeks after that happened. And I just kept thinking about it and like thinking about it from a bunch of different perspectives, right? Like, like lanternfish, if you don't know, it's like they have their own self-illuminating light. They live on the bottom of the ocean. And they normally are so far deep that there's never going to be any actual sunlight permeating down there. to come to the surface is like a sign of they're not doing well, right? Like this is not the first time this happened, but it is one of the first times it was like caught in this way that kind of went viral. And a lot of people were like, oh my God, it's really beautiful. I wanted to see the sun in, like that it didn't produce before it died, which is, of course, a beautiful sentiment. And I also have seen like one wing of psychic knowledge is there are like animal communicators. They're all over TikTok or wherever as well. And you'll know when it's ones that are worth their salt because you constantly are seeing people who are like with their pets and they're like, oh my God, of course my dog is saying this or whatever, like, and they're like cracking up about it. But so there's a few I trust, and one like was commenting on like tapping into the energy of the anglerfish. And she was talking about how a lot of times when animals, when there's something that kind of goes viral in that way, there's almost like a message for the collective. And what she was tapping into is this energy of things feel really dark right now. Things feel very dark right now in a way that you maybe have never experienced on a like societal level. And there's always a way for you to produce your own light. And I'm like, okay, anglerfish, just teaching us like how to like hold on to some semblance of goodness in this hell era. So I just like, all that to say is like, you may not know about it, but I think you know about it in the sense that like, if you allow yourself to be inspired by things, that is inherently tapping into something divine. Again, whether or not it's the way you perceive it, it like, I feel like that just is how that is because most people just aren't paying attention to it.
Did you come here with that idea? Because that's pretty fleshed out.
No,
okay.
I've literally just been thinking about that. Just kind of came to me, I guess, with what you were saying. And I was thinking about the anglerfish a lot. It's actually been a couple weeks since I thought about the anglerfish, but for some reason, my brain went there with what you were saying about spirituality and songwriting. I don't know.
Did you ever think about writing a song about an anglerfish? Not a literal one, maybe, but
I mean, I definitely felt like there was a poetic thing in what this animal communicator tapped into. So I'm sure on a subconscious level, I have thought about it for sure.
Okay,
just because it's very inspiring.
Because there's like there's the obvious like spiritual level, but there's just sort of there's like lower levels to the same metaphor too. I feel like it works. Just like the idea of like hope in a person's life in a lot of different ways. So
definitely.
I really like that idea. I'm gonna just write anglerfish and then I'll give you like the rundown of what you said after the fact. I might pick up the guitar. Yeah. Now at this point.
I also about the fish.
Thinking about that.
He's thinking about the fish. Yes.
The thing is, like, he's so ugly. You know what I mean? But like in such a cool way.
She's so ugly.
It was a she? Okay.
Well, listen, so
I'm gonna learn something about
anglerfish. The thing is, when they have sex, the female absorbs the male into them. Yeah,
that's so cool.
So basically there are no old male anglerfish. Like, I forget exactly what it is.
It's kind of like the praying mantis thing?
Yeah.
Kind of like,
kind of. It's less violent than the praying mantis thing from what I understand. It's more like, they're like, yes, you need the resources because you're carrying all of the future generations.
Some animals just like really figured feminism out.
I mean, seahorses literally change their sex characteristics so that the males carry the baby. So like, get it together, humans. Like, what are we waiting for? Anything's possible.
I feel like there's so much to learn about. So she's beautiful because there's no old anglerfish. Because what do you mean absorb? What do you mean by absorb?
I mean, I'll Google it.
Yeah,
but
what does that mean?
In some species, the male becomes a permanent parasite on the female, his small body left simply trailing along in the water beside hers. Slowly, he fuses to her, becoming an irremovable appendage. In this relationship, he is completely catered for. I'm obsessed. I'm fucking obsessed.
What? That is just unbelievable. Like, it's...
Iconic. Okay, well, here's also another way to look at this.
Okay.
Pairings of deep-sea male and female anglerfishes are rather unbalanced. While the female spends her life hunting, the male is at leisure to simply hitchhike, acting as a passenger for the majority of his adult life. And they don't have that same big head. So that's also how you know. Like they're tiny. In most of the animal kingdom, the males are smaller than females.
Yeah.
Because of having to hold babies inside of you. He uses his teeth to latch on and basically then holds on to procreate and then holds on for the rest of his life.
So he latches on to mate and then just never lets go.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And then just is hitchhiking and then at some point becomes a fully blown part of the female.
Okay. So when we saw this female anglerfish, dying female anglerfish.
This ugly
dying
disgusting
female
but
anglerfish
beautiful at the same time.
coming to the surface, it was actually two fish probably.
Probably.
Cool.
At one point, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of song is this? What would this make? You know what I mean? Like
I know. I also feel like the other thing that I'm constantly writing about just in general is the human condition. And mostly it plays out in terms of like love, but also just like, listen, we don't have to treat each other like garbage people kind of energy. Like I have a song called Answers that's like you're looking for answers in all the wrong places. I get it. You're trying to figure it out, but you're doing it in a way that's causing some fucking harm. And like I feel like there's, I guess, like trying to be like, yes, anglerfish, and also like not trying to force something that I feel like is maybe a little more foreign for both of us to be like, let's think about a fish.
Yeah.
Is more like also thinking about the gears turning in my head are like, what is almost like a human story that we could tell that's human but is inspired by the anglerfish or whatever. Although I also literally have a song called Cicada. It's also just inspired by cicadas. But I'm realizing maybe this is actually a theme for me.
So that's interesting. I was thinking kind of a similar thing where like maybe like we don't actually talk about the fish, but like, you know, more like just maybe describe the circumstances or the you know, and sort of make it, you know, kind of resonate with the person's life.
At some point in the last several years, I switched my tuning slightly. So instead of being at 440 hertz, it's at 444 hertz. And so we all play and sing at 444 hertz instead of 440.
Do you have to alter your tuners? Do tuners like show you that?
Yeah, everyone has a little special tuner. So yeah, music has healing properties. There's different healing frequencies like Gregorian chants and stuff like that came up with the, what is it called? The solfeggio frequencies. And, you know, there's ways to heal the mind and the body through music and through sound. And so I think all music is inherently that, but I wanted to like be a little bit more intentional about it. And it's such a subtle shift, like tonally. Like most people have no idea that I do this.
Yeah. Like, unless you have perfect pitch,
right?
You wouldn't really notice it.
Right. Because it's like
consciously,
it's so subtle. But I just kind of felt called to start tuning that way. And then I looked into it and it like helps people with relieving anxiety and stuff like that. And I was just like, yeah, it makes sense. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. Even like with like some of the more like harder songs that especially playing full band now has it has a different energy than obviously me playing solo, but I love that it still has all of that built into it.
Anything that you've always wanted, any kind of style of song you've always wanted to write and haven't gotten around to?
A pop song, like just a straight up pop song. But that's not what I'm trying to do here, to be clear.
No.
I think it would be really fun sometime to just like do a fucking ripper of a pop song.
I've also never done that.
Right?
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
I mean, like, I feel like a lot of my melodies end up being that way, but it's obviously like rock background for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, a strong melody will lend itself to really kind of anything. So
totally.
Yeah, if you have that, I'm kind of into that. I could do that.
Hell yeah. I mean, I think part of the reason why I haven't is because I'm like, I don't even know how we would begin that.
I'm picturing this like old ass fish, just like that's on its bucket list. It's just like checking something off.
Yeah.
And it's like loving it, It's just totally accepted the the inevitability of its own death and is cool with it. And it's just like I want to see the sun. I want to get to the top, and I just want to just feel that kind of freedom that I think I've always pictured this in my head. I don't know what it's gonna be like, but I have this idea of it. I'm gonna go find out.
Yeah. No, for real.
And I feel like that could be a pop song.
Yeah. No, that's true.
We left our session with only an idea. We didn't end up writing any musical elements, but we both felt the Anglerfish concept was so strong that we had enough to get started. True to what Adelaide had said, just a few days went by before they sent me an audio file of a perfectly polished verse and chorus. The file was simply titled with an interrobang and had been written in just one 15-minute session.
Things keep getting stranger out here. I couldn't see the sun. So I had to make my own.
I got the chords and the melody under my fingers that very same evening, and we were officially on our way. Because of Addie's writing style, I played more of a producer role, sussing out instrumentation and production ideas to complement their lyrics and vibe. We slowly built the project up, from the basic feel in the rhythm section, to the layering of guitars, to the final ornamentations and harmonies. We had originally talked about writing a pop ripper, but a straight pop song didn't quite fit the song. But we still wanted to keep it upbeat, so we leaned a little bit more into indie dance rock or revivalist garage rock. There was also the matter of adjusting the song to a non-standard tuning. We agreed that, since there might be a need for synths or other electronic instruments, we would record the song in a standard tuning and attempt to adjust the tuning of the entire finished track afterwards. We got a great result using the Verispeed feature native in Logic Pro. Just an increase of 0.91% got us to A444. I can't tell if it's just psychological after working with it for so long, but I swear I can feel a difference in my body when I listen to the altered track. With that being the last piece of the puzzle on this tune, we were all wrapped and ready to go. So without further ado, please enjoy the world premiere of See the Sun.
Weighted down, swallowed up. I know I'm not the only one who's had enough, but something's gotta change. Things keep getting stranger out here. I couldn't see the sun, so I made my own. I won't let them bring me down, and I need you to hear me now. We've been here before, so down the ocean floor, changing tide, caught their bluff. Don't you dare think of giving up, 'cause we keep making change, keeping safe from dangers out here. I couldn't see the sun, so I made my own. I won't let them bring me down, and I need you to hear me now. We've been here before, down the ocean floor. I don't think you can fly too close to the sun. I just think that's how stars become. So I hope
For those of you out there who are as nerdy as me, yes, since we sped up the audio 0.91%, we had to speed the video up by the same amount. You're welcome. Thank you all so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed See the Sun. Huge thank you to Adelaide, who was not only wonderful to work with, but was also incredibly patient with me as I went through the painful process of getting this first episode off the ground. We'll see you all next time in the Gulch.